Bibles just a few minutes. Psalm chapter number 16. Psalm chapter number 16. Psalm chapter number 16. Back, I guess it was 2007, right after Thanksgiving, I was taken to the hospital by my wife. We were on a trip to Mississippi, and I laid in the bed all week. We were supposed to be doing a meeting. We get home on Thursday, and I was taken to the hospital early Thursday morning, and stayed there from about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning until almost midnight before they told me what was wrong with me. And I'd had an infection the size of a baseball growing in my right lung. And I don't know how long it was there, but it got to the place where it was too big and it abscessed my right lung. And the doctor said that the infection was just leaking out into the lining of my lung. And if my lung ruptured at any time, there would have been nothing they could have done. So they put me in the hospital, and 14 days, I guess the first 9 days I laid there, almost felt like I wanted to die. Just hurting so bad. And they did 5 surgeries, 2 of them where they cut me and went in to try to get the infection out. And Becky had everybody around the country was praying. I mean, she's getting calls from all over the country. And preacher, there was a couple times I laid there, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to make it. A 37-year-old man, didn't think I was going to live to see another day, and hurting so bad. But the Lord showed mercy on me. He showed God's people. They touched heaven for me, and God delivered me out of that. And after a few months of not being able to preach, trying to get my strength back, trying to get my breathing back after they took out part of my lung, it was one of those times where depression set in, and I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I mean, I see the glass as always half full. It's never half empty. And God showed mercy, and I've wondered from time to time why God put me through that. I don't question hardly anymore why, because I think now I know the reason why after it's been almost 12 years. But I realized then that God didn't put me in that situation in my life to make me want to walk away from Him. He didn't put me in that situation to make me want to sit down and shut up and not tell or speak His name as Jeremiah got in Jeremiah chapter number 20. He didn't put me in that situation, but I believe He put me in that situation where I realized as a 37-year-old man that the only way I could look was up. The only hope that I had was Him. The only reason that I should be doing what I'm doing is because of how good God is to me. But I didn't understand that at the time. And the Lord, while I was at home, the family, we still had bills to pay, still had dates to fulfill. So Becky took off, and her and her family, and they went off and done dates. And my mother was sent to my house to take care of me. There ain't nobody looks after you like your mama does. Like it drove me crazy, but I mean, there ain't nobody looks after you like your mama does. And I'm sitting laying in my bed, and I'd have to have a nurse come over about every other day, change the wound, the gauze and stuff out of my chest wound and all that. And finally it all healed up. And the Lord dealt with me about this message while I was laying there in the bed. And I read this verse, Psalm chapter number 16, verse number 11. And the Bible says, "Thou wilt show me the path of life." The rest of that verse is good. "In thy presence there's fullness of joy, at thy right hand there's pleasures forevermore." The rest of that verse is good. But that path of life, it just stuck with me. And I realized then that we're all, whether we've been sick, whether we've been through a trial like I went through, whether we've been through a burden, a heartache, a trouble, a storm, we're all on the path of life. It doesn't matter if you're saved, if you're unsaved, you're all on that path of life. And I've realized along this path of life, there's going to be the times that we call the mountaintop experiences. The times when we're in a good service, and I mean, there's good preaching, there's good singing, and everything seemingly going right at the house. You got a little bit of money left over from the paycheck at the end of the week. There's a little bit in the bank. There's food on the table. There's food in the cabinets. We got a good tank of gas in the car. I mean, it seemed like everything, preacher, is going right at maybe that particular moment in life. And we all just get in church and there's a good word said or a good song sung. And we just all want to raise our hand and shout and praise the Lord because of His goodness. And we can shout while we're in the valley too. But it seemed like it's real easy to shout when we're up there on the mountaintop. Those high times in life. Those praising God times in life. I mean, we can just thank God for everything seemingly when it's all going good. It's real easy to praise God then. But then there's those other times, as I've already mentioned, the low times of life. When it seems like there's not enough money at the end of the month. And when it seems like there's no food and there's no gas and we don't know where seemingly how the next light bill is going to be paid or the next house payment is going to be paid. It seems like the devil is just throwing stuff at us and it gets us in that lull time, that low time. And we start asking, why? God, why are we in this situation? Why are you putting us through this? And as I've already mentioned, He doesn't put us there to make us want to quit or make us want to walk away. He puts us in those times to let us realize that He is God and He's everything we need. And He can supply our needs just as good as when we're up there on the mountain as when we're down in the valley. But sometimes it takes those valleys to knock a little bit of us out of us so that we'll realize that it wasn't coming from me. My blessings wasn't coming because I work a job or because I try to provide for my family. No, it was coming from the good hand of God, from His hand to my mouth. That's where our goodness comes from. And God wants us to realize that while we're all on this path of life. And I've learned along this path of life, number one, it's not always a path of my choosing. But it is always a path of faith. We don't choose to have to make those doctor visits. We don't choose to have to hear the doctor say you got that awful C word, cancer. We don't choose to have to walk down to the mortuary on a given night and have a service or have a viewing and then the next day go to a church or to a chapel somewhere and have to lay that loved one out and somebody stand over and preach their funeral and then have to walk to the graveyard. We don't choose those spots in the path of life. We don't choose death. But somehow or another, they're all part of this path of life. And I've learned in those low times, in those trips that we choose not to make, we can always have faith in God. We can always trust in Him and know that it's real easy to preach that we can trust Him when everything's going good. But we can also trust Him when everything's just hit rock bottom and we all seemingly falling flat on our face. And those times of sadness and those times of sorrow come in our life, we can still have faith in a faithful God. I think about the life of Job, and I think I preached on Job here last year. Job didn't choose all the trials that he faced. Job didn't choose to lose all of his finances. He didn't choose to lose all 10 of his children, his family. He didn't choose to lose his health. He didn't choose for everything to come against him. And Job didn't choose. That's something, losing a child, that's something a mom and dad never would choose. And at the end of the day, you thought Satan had the victory in Job's life. You'd have thought Satan had Job exactly where he wanted Job, and you'd have thought Satan had Job ready to curse God, and some of us would have. We're not above that. But at the end of the day, the Bible says Job shaved his head, he rent his clothes, and he fell to the ground, and he worshiped the great God of heaven, and he said, the Lord hath gave, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And the Bible says that Job's faith increased daily in God. Job, even though he was in the midst of this trial that he did not choose, even though he was in the midst of this heartache that he did not choose, even though he watched his wife suffer as she had to plant her 10 kids just as he did, Job said, I'm still going to worship the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, because God has been good to me, and God shall forever be good to me. And all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Job still worshiped the great God of heaven, even though he didn't choose to be in this spot in life that he was in. I can promise you, church, as a 37-year-old man, I never chose to have that lung infection. I never chose to go through facing death and say, well, it wasn't that bad. It don't matter what you think. You can ask my wife. I was at the point of death a couple of days, several days. And honestly, Brother David, I didn't choose to go there. And I'm sitting there in that hospital room. I don't know why in the world they tell you in the hospital to rest when they won't let you. I know back then, I mean, it was nurses coming in every 30 minutes, every half hour, every 15 minutes, seemed like some days, and I'm not knocking nurses, I thank God, but sometimes they will wear the snot out of you. And I'm sitting there, preacher, honest to goodness, and I'm trying to sleep. Get rest, get rest, get rest. I told my wife, I said, honey, you've been here a few days. Our baby girls ain't seen you. Macalah and Madison, our twins, they were 10 at the time. I think Morgan, she was 2 at the time. They were staying with family members, one family member one night, another family member another night, while she's up there trying to take care of me. And I said, baby, you got to go home. I said, you got to get some sleep. One of us has to get some sleep, and I can promise you it ain't going to be me. Finally, after twisting her arm, I about had to make her go to the house. See our babies, love on them for a little while, get some sleep. And the moment, seemingly, preacher, she walked out that door, it seemed like the devil pulled up a chair right beside my bed. And I know the devil's got bigger fish to fry than me. I know that I'm a nobody. I know the devil's out there attacking them big dogs. He's not worried about little old me, but it's my story. I'll tell it like I want to. When you get your chance, you can tell it like you want to. If it wasn't him, it was one of his little old imps on a mission from him. And honest to goodness, he seemingly sit there in that chair right beside my bed, and the words were, you're a dead man. They're going to carry you out of this room in a body bag. There's no more hope for you. I've got you. This lung infection is going to take you out of here. And honestly, he had me convinced it was over. I didn't think I'd ever see another sunshine. I didn't think I'd ever be able to walk outside again. I didn't think I'd ever be able to play with my kids and take them shopping and all that good stuff. I didn't think none of that was in my future. I thought I was a dead man. And then he said, but if you do make it out of here, you'll never be the same. Your wife will have to take care of you all the time. You'll be a vegetable to her. She'll have to feed you and clothe you and bathe you and all that kind of stuff. You'll be just worthless to her. And honestly, about time he got done talking, I felt like I was in that chair. I felt like it was over for me. I was so discouraged and depressed, and honestly, the skies were cloudy. I mean, it was just horrible. And I've said earlier, I'm not that kind of fella. I mean, I try to make a good time at funerals. I'm just an optimistic kind of guy. Amen. The next morning, or maybe it was that evening, I don't remember. I do remember it was a Tuesday. I'd had surgery. The doctor told me it didn't work. They're going to have to go back in again. And if he had to go back in again, he's probably going to have to cut me from under my arm all the way down to my hip and go in and break my rib cage. And it'd be 9-10 months recovery. So, preacher, I was worried that I was going to be flat on my back for 10 months. And I didn't want that. Becky and the girls came in, and Macalah and Madison, they're 10 years old, Morgan's 2, and they're jumping on the bed. I'm laying there in all kinds of pain in my little pity party. I mean, just doom and gloom and despair and agony on me. I mean, I'm singing hee-haw song, just my theme song that moment in life. And they're all happy-go-lucky and just joyous and jumping on the bed. Daddy, Daddy, can we sing you a song? Daddy, Daddy, we just learned a song over the weekend. Daddy, Uncle Brady, that's Becky's next oldest brother, their family has taught us a song. Daddy, can we sing you a song? And honestly, one of the saddest times in my life was telling my favorite people in all the world I didn't want to hear them sing. I mean, Brother David, I was at the point, I didn't want to hear nothing from God. I didn't want to hear a song. I didn't want to have somebody come in there and pray. I was just, it's over for me. And I said, girls, I'm really not in the mood. Maybe a little later, just not right now. But Daddy, we just learned the song. Daddy, let us sing it to you. Daddy, you'll enjoy it. Daddy, we just learned it. I mean, let us sing it. And I said, girls, I don't want to hear it. Not now. I'm not in the mood. And it seemed like the devil's whispering to my ear, don't let them sing it. You don't need to hear it. And I said, girls, really, not right now. Maybe in a little while. But Daddy, we just learned it. Daddy, let us sing it for you. And I'm thinking, this lung infection ain't going to kill me. Them worrying me half to death is going to do it. And I said, girls, not now. I said, the doctor might come in. I said, a nurse may come in, just not now. I said, I don't want to hear another word about the song. And that lasted for a good 30 seconds. And here they come again. Daddy, Daddy, can we sing it now? Daddy, can we sing this song to you? You'll like this song. And I'm thinking, well, if I just let them stand on one side of the bed, I could kind of roll over, act like I'm in a little bit of pain, tune them out. They'd get it out of their system. They would not say another word about it. It'd be all over. Well, Macalah's standing on one side of the bed, so I thought, well, they're going to stand right here. I'll just kind of scooch over and look towards the door. And Brother Andy, when I turned around, there's Madison standing on that side of the bed. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll just sit up in the bed and just kind of tune them out. And next thing I know, 2-year-old Morgan jumps right in the middle of the bed, right on my stomach. And she grabs me by my face. She says, Daddy, you need to listen real good. I felt like one of those little mice in one of those little wheels, trapped. I wasn't going nowhere. And they started singing. The clouds are disappearing. The skies are turning blue. It's only just a while ago that I thought that I was through, but he did not rebuke me, but with arms strong embrace, he picked me up and he carried me into this field of grace where all is quiet, leaning on his breast. He pulled me from a stormy sea to a place where I could rest. He told me I was loved, and he told me I was safe, and I could stay forever in this field of grace. I want to say, somebody go over there and kick the devil right out that door over there. He's not welcome in this place anymore. God has put me in this place, and if I have to die, I'll just die in the grace and the will of God. But if I live, I'll be able to tell my story. I'll be able to go out and tell me how good God was to me, even though I didn't choose to be here. And even though I didn't plan on being here, I still can have faith in Almighty God who has put me here to see Him. Amen. I said, God, if this is your will for my life, I'm going to just have faith in you. I'm going to trust that you know what you're doing because you do. And I'm going to follow you. on this path of life, it's not always a path of our choosing. But it is always a path of faith. Number 2, it's not always a path that's clear. But it is always a path of just following. Just trusting Him. Following Him. We don't understand why these things come in our lives. We have no idea why cancer has to attack our home. We don't understand why the doctor says there's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months to live. We don't understand why accidents happen. Why we get that phone call saying there's been an accident right up the road. We think it's your son or your daughter. We don't understand that. But His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. God does everything right. That's hard for us to understand. But even in the loss of a loved one, the passing of a loved one, even when it's us going through the sickness, going through the trial, going through the valley, God is still right. No matter what's going on in our lives. God is still holy. No matter what's going on in our lives. God still is faithful no matter what's going on in our lives. We may not understand the plan He has for us. We may not understand the direction He's sending us. But all we can do is just keep on trusting that still small voice. All we can do is just keep following. All we can do is just keep getting in the Bible and letting God speak to us through His words, giving us comfort through the pages of the Word of God. That's all we can do is just keep following Him. When we don't understand, that's not the time to get out of church. When we don't understand why we're facing what we're facing, I can promise you, child of God, the worst thing you could do is walk out those doors and say, I'll be back when things get better.
Amen. Amen.
Because I promise you, the goodness and the betterness is only going to come while you're sitting at His feet. While you're communing with Him. While you're getting fed through the pages of the Bible. My wife, every year, for Christmas, holidays, whenever it is, it don't matter. My birthday, a lot of times, she'll give me a goodie bag. And in that goodie bag, there is always a bag. Honey, hold up one of your bags. This is not the man color for the bag, but it's the color that they're in right now. Those say Hall's Breezers. And I have to put my glasses on so I can read one of the wrappers off of the Hall's Breezers. It says, and you've probably all seen the commercial. Now these don't come in the little blister packs. But if you buy a bag of them, they say they have a pep talk in every drop. That's what this wrapper says right here. A little 1.5 by 1.5 wrapper. And this one says, get back in the game. It says, buckle down and push forth. Don't waste a precious moment. You've survived tougher. I mean, I'm encouraged just by reading this wrapper. Honest to goodness, I am so encouraged from that little pep talk I just got. I mean, I'm thrilled to death. I mean, I could grab you another one. This one here says, let's hear your battle cry. Take charge and mean it. Put your game face on. Bet on yourself. Put a little strut in it. Turn can do into can did. I mean, I'm encouraged, brother, and just by reading this little 1.5 by 1.5 wrapper. And I mean, I could just go on and on and on. I mean, if you need one tonight, I've got it right here in my pocket. I'll sign it, sell it to you for $100. If you just need just a little encouragement in life, I've got it right here at the tip of my fingertips. I mean, honest to goodness, they everywhere. I mean, if you just need them, come up here and get you a little bit of encouragement after a while. They all here. But when I've got that little irritation in the back of my throat, that little scratch, that little frog has got down there and wrapped his legs around his tonsils and you can't talk for a little while. Listen, I promise you, Sunday mornings, if the preacher's sitting right here where he's sitting, and he starts to cough in just a little bit, 19 people will say, ask the preacher if he needs a cough drop. I mean, we all get it from time. We all start loosening collars and trying to get that frog out of. And I promise you, church, reading one of those wrappers will not affect the problem I have with my throat. It won't get down there and touch it. I can read it all day long, and I can while I'm reading them all day long. But what I have to do is I have to get what's inside the wrapper down inside of me. And then the problem that I have starts going, it takes that little drop, putting that little drop inside of me. And honestly, church, we've got a real good wrapper.
Yeah.
That's right. Amen.
I mean, my wrapper says Holy Bible.
That's right.
King James Version. My wrapper, preacher, I got a good wrapper. But just reading the wrapper, it's good, it's encouraging. But I got to get what's inside this wrapper. Down inside of me. It may take the reading of a chapter. It may take the reading of a couple chapters. It may take coming in here, hearing you preach a couple chapters, hearing you read a couple chapters. But I got to get what's inside of that wrapper down inside of me if it's ever going to do any good. Because we can and will get help from the Word of God if we'd apply it to our situation. If we'd apply it to what's going on in us, what this man has to say Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday after Wednesday. This man has a word from God, and that word usually just plows our road, and it tells us exactly what we need. We got to get what's inside that wrapper down inside of us. If we're going to get some help from the Lord, we got to understand that it's not a path that I understand fully as to why I'm here. But I just got to keep on following that still small voice. I just got to keep on following the Lord. He said, come on, just follow me. It's going to be all right. When I don't understand, the best thing I can do is to keep on following. Think about the life of Joseph. Everybody here probably knows about the life of Joseph. Sold into slavery by his brothers. Put in a pit for just a little while. They sold him on into slavery. He winds up in Potiphar's house as a slave. Potiphar's wife accuses him of a crime he does not commit. He's put in prison. They forget about him in prison. He stays there several years in prison, and finally he's brought to the palace. He interprets the king's dream, the Pharaoh's dream. Tells the Pharaoh what's going to happen, but Pharaoh, you need to put a man in charge to make sure everything goes according to God's plan. And Pharaoh said, sir, you're the man for the job. And Joseph winds up second in command under Pharaoh over all the land of Egypt. His brothers come. You all know the story. His brothers come. They don't know who he is, but he knows who they are. A few tricks and a few shenanigans on Joseph's part, putting the cup in Benjamin's sack and taking Simon captive and sending back and saying, I want my little brother to come. You bring your little brother back to me, or else this one here is not going to make it. They go back and they bring Benjamin back with them, and Joseph reveals himself to his brothers and tells them, hey, I'm alive. And these boys think, look where he is. He's way up there on the throne. He has the right to kill us for what we've done to him. And Joseph said, you boys got it all wrong. I'm not going to kill you, but I do want to know, is my father yet alive? And they said, oh yeah, Daddy's good and alive back there. Joseph said, go get him. Joseph sends provision for them to bring his father back. Jacob gets there. Jacob can't believe that his son's alive. But Jacob finally dies. And these brothers that sold him into slavery think we're done for now. Joseph spared us because our father was yet alive. But now Daddy's gone. We're doomed. And Joseph said, you got it all wrong again. The things you did to me, listen to the verse, chapter number 50. Ye meant it for evil. But God, the one who I was following while I was in the pit, the one who said it's going to be all right when I was in Potiphar's house, the one who kept telling me everything was going to be good when I was in the prison, the one who tells me today while I'm standing before you, it's all going to be all right. That voice I was following, I didn't understand why I was put in all those places, but I understand now. God had a purpose for my life. Ye meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. I've been sent here to save much people alive. God has a purpose for everything we go through. God has a plan for everything we don't understand. Just keep on following Him. Amen. Things are not clear. And they won't be a lot of times. You just keep on following Him. Number one, it's not a path of my choosing, but it is a path of faith. Number two, it's not a path that's clear, but it is a path of following. And number three, and I'm done, it's not a path of comfort, but it is always a path of fellowship. Those things we have to go through in this life, they hurt. We're in this flesh. It hurts when Mom dies. It hurts when, as my dad and his new bride's going through, just found out she has cancer. That hurts, preacher. It hurts when there's an accident or that son decides he don't want to serve God no more and he walks away. Or that daughter decides she don't want to serve God no more and she walks away. Those things we don't understand, Brother Andy, they're painful. They hurt us. It's not always comfortable. But I'm reminded, as he told Timothy, thou shalt endure hardness as a good soldier. Amen. The Bible tells us the days are going to wax worse and worse and worse. And the stuff we're going to have to face, I can promise you, child of God, it will not be comfortable. But the Lord Himself said, telling His disciples, I've got to go away, so the Comforter can come. And He used that word comforter, and that meant one just like me. The Lord said, there's going to be one come. He's not going to just live amongst you. He's going to live down in you. And He's going to bear all your burdens. He's going to bear all your pain. He's going to bear all your sorrow. That comforter, I remember my great-grandma, every time we'd stay at her house in the wintertime, she always had a cook stove in the kitchen that heated up the kitchen. She had a wood stove in the living room that heated up the living room. And on those cold winter nights, we'd stay over with her, me and my oldest brother, laying in the bed. She said, boys, it might get a little cold during the night, she said, but Grandma's got this comforter. And we'd get under that comforter, and it seemed like everything was all right in the coldness of the night. We have a comforter. Everything we go through is not comfortable, but I can promise you, child of God, we have a comforter. And He's going to fellowship with us, even though it seemed like everybody else has forsaken us, when it seemed like everybody's turned their back on us, when it seemed like everybody else has walked away. There is a comforter that's going to fellowship with us, because He said He'd never leave us, He'd never forsake us. He'd be with us always, even to the end of the world. He said, I will not leave you comfortless. The Lord said, I'm coming. I'm going to take care of you. There's one that's going to live inside of you in the person of the Holy Ghost, and He'll be the dearest friend you've ever had in this life. Amen. Think about that story of the footprints in the sand. Y'all come on, we'll get an invitation. Those footprints in the sand. The writer of that poem said, I'm walking along the sands of time. There's two sets of footprints. There's the Lord's and there's mine. I know I'm not going to quote it exactly right. He said, but I walked along and saw those two footprints. Everything was going great. Everything was going wonderful. We were having the time of our life, just fellowshipping in the sands of time, on the sands of life. And he said, but I noticed as I looked back, I saw only one set of footprints. And I questioned it, but I didn't make a big deal of it. I just kept going. I just kept on walking. He said, I went a little further. There was two sets of footprints. I went a little bit further. I looked back again. There was only one set. And on again, there was two sets. And off, there was one set. And he said, I kept on wondering. When I only saw one set of footprints, they were in the deepest, darkest troubles of my life. The valleys, the low places, the storms of this life. He said, and I wondered why the Lord left me in the most miserable times of my life. He said, I even questioned, Lord, we're walking together, you and me. He said, there's two sets of footprints. He said, but I noticed when the storms came and the valleys came and the heartache came, there was only one set of footprints. And he said, I only got one question. Why did you leave me to walk through those storms, those valleys, all by myself? And he said, that sweet voice from my Father came back and said, son, that set of footprints you saw in the storms, in the valleys, in the heartaches, that set of footprints weren't yours. They were mine. He said, it was at that time in your life when I knew you didn't understand, when I knew you didn't choose to be here, when I knew it was uncomfortable for you to be in that storm of life. He said, those times in your life, you didn't walk through that all by yourself. He said, it was at that time that I picked you up and I carried you. I put your head on my chest. You heard your heart beat. He said, and when we got out of the storm, when we got out of the valley, I set you down and we walked together. Then we hit another storm and I pick you up again and I carry you through that storm. And friend, that's exactly what the Lord does for us. When we reach the storms of life, when we reach the valley, when we reach the sickness and the heartache and the death, God himself picks us up and he carries us through the storm of life. He carries us through the storm and we make it out on the other side because we had sweet fellowship with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
Right. Amen. Yeah.
He'll carry us. Fellowship with God's people. That's wonderful. Preacher being here this week, my family getting to fellowship with you all, it's wonderful. And we get to do it just about every day of my life. But a lifetime of fellowship with everybody in this building can't do with just a few minutes with him.
Yeah.
This fellowship is great. I mean, it's wonderful for us to get to communicate and talk and eat together and laugh together. But all the fellowship in the world is nothing to compare with the fellowship that we have with him in the darkest of times, in the sadness of times. We can fellowship with God and he'll pick us up and he'll carry us right through the storm.
Right.
Because he knows we can't hardly take the discomfort, but we can fellowship with him. I don't know what it is you're facing tonight. I don't have a clue. I hadn't preached this message in a long time. I don't understand why the Lord let me preach it tonight. But I do know whatever it is you're going through, there's a God in heaven who says, just follow me. There's a God in heaven saying, just have faith in me. And there's a God in heaven saying, no matter how bad it gets, just keep fellowshipping with me, because I want to deliver you out of the storm. We're going to stand all over the building, heads are bowed, eyes are closed. You may need to come to this altar just tonight, just for a little while, just fellowship with him. You may need to cry out to him, God, I don't understand why I'm going through what I'm going through. And he understands the whys. You may need to just come and say, God, I don't understand why you've put me here. I didn't choose it. But God, you've seen fit to put me in this place. And I'm going to just keep on following you. I'm going to keep on having faith in you. And we're going to continue to fellowship in the roughest time of my life. I promise you that's what He wants you to do. Lord, I want to thank you for this night. God, I thank you for your grace and your love and your mercy. God, I pray right now that you'd have your way in each heart and each life. God, I pray that you would help that one that's struggling in the valley. Help that one that's questioning in the valley. Help that one that's questioning whether they're going to keep on following you while they're in the valley. God, I pray that you would just give them peace right now. God, I pray that you'd help them just to fellowship with you just a little while around this altar. God, I pray that you'd give them the endurance. God, give them the fortitude just to go another mile serving you. And God, everything that's done in this place tonight, we're just going to give you praise for who you are and for what you've done. God, I want to tell you I love you. I don't understand why you let me go across this country and tell my story. But God, if it means some little boy, some little girl, as last night, somebody walking up to this altar and telling the preacher I need to be saved. God, it'll be worth it to go through it again. Not that I want to, but God, it'll be worth it if somebody gets saved because of it. God, have your way in this invitation. Bless the man of God as he comes and takes it. And Lord, we're going to be careful to praise you because you're worthy in Christ's name. Amen. The pastor's coming. He's going to take this invitation. If you need to come, they're going to sing this song. You come right now.
Well, we've heard the word again tonight. Got to think about this old thief, old dying thief, right there on the side of that cross. He thought everybody had forgotten his situation. He's going to meet God in a couple of hours. He's going to die. He said, if you'll just remember me, Jesus. And Jesus, while he's on the cross, said, today, you'll be with me in paradise. Listen, if he hadn't forgot that guy, he knew what he was going through. Don't you think he can help you tonight?
Amen. Amen.
He can help you tonight. You come as they sing, you come. You come, whatever you need.
I can hear my Savior calling.
Yes.
I can hear my Savior.
Amen. What a sweet voice. Hear him calling on your heart
I
tonight.
can
Isn't that wonderful?
hear my Savior calling.
What sweet words.
Take thy
Right
cross and follow.
Thank you, Jesus.
Where he leads me, I will follow.
Think about that.
Where he leads me, I will
He's
follow.
already been through it all. He
Where
can take you through it tonight. You come.
leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way.
Thank you.
I'll go with him through the garden. I'll go with him through the garden.
My.
I'll go with him through the garden. I'll go with him all the way. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me,
What a
I will follow.
Good God.
Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Listen, we'll sing one more verse of that and give you a chance. You might want whatever you need tonight. We won't be in no hurry. I was thinking about these veterans that stood up. You might know what I'm talking about. You ever been homesick? Homesick's bad feeling. The only cure for it is to go home. And what I'm telling you tonight is, listen, here's what he does. He's that comforter in you. Think about that. Never alone. Boy, isn't that good? And a lot of people like to have somebody. I'm glad I've always got somebody.
Amen.
I've said, listen, when even mom and daddy have had enough of your mess, you know what I'm saying? He won't never forsake you or leave you. He's a friend. You might need a friend tonight. He's one that sticketh closer than a brother. You come. So they sing this last verse. Whatever you need, you come.
He will give you grace and glory. He will give you grace and glory. He will give you grace and glory, and go with you all the way. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. I can hear my Savior calling. Take thy cross and follow me. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. Where he leads me, I will follow. I'll go with him all the way.
Amen. What a Savior.
Amen.
Well, he's a good God. He's a wonderful Savior. Come on here, son. You and Mama, Jimbo. Was it his little brother? He got saved here. Was it last year?
Yes.
He got saved last year. Baptized, right? So now older brother's come. He wants to shore that thing up. Make sure that thing's real. So we'll get the water in there before too long.
Amen.
Isn't
Amen.
that wonderful? You can't know that you're saved.
Amen.
You don't have to walk around questioning that. You can nail that thing down and know it. Just sure as I'm standing here. Listen, I think sometimes we try to make it rocket science. You know, you go up to somebody's house, witnesses to them, they say, what do you want? I want nothing, I want to give you something. How much is it? It's free, brother. It's free. It cost him everything, but it's free to you. Why? People can't get a hold of that, can they? It's amazing. But I appreciate this young man, his family, and boy, they've been so faithful here. And just do so much at our church, and that's the kind of families we want. I'm gonna tell you, Bible preaches household salvation. I'm talking about mom and daddy get right, things start getting right around the house. You ever notice that? And we praise the Lord for that and everything. So he's a wonderful Savior and a mighty King. So we love him so much. And, we just give him the praise. Just one more night. Just one more night. Y'all come back tomorrow night, ain't gonna tell them what's gonna happen. Just, you might jump a few pews tomorrow night for us. As long as you got to it. Don't do nothing. As long as you got the air, brother, just jump all you want. Okay? That's good. That's good stuff. I'm gonna ask Ray Butler if he closes in a word of prayer. I'm gonna let these folks go out and you just go by and give them the handshake. The hand of fellowship, and tell them how much you love them and all. And I'll try to work on my vocabulary. You sound like Foghorn Leghorn. It's hard to talk. I'm telling you. Look, I can do what I can. So, all right, well, Tim, come on down. Amen. Wonderful. Praise his holy name.
Amen.
Ray, close out the word of prayer, brother.
Dear Father, Lord God, thank you for the opportunity, Lord, to come out to your house tonight, Lord. Thank you for the message the man of God brought to us, Lord. Thank you, God, for the salvation, Lord, that you have given us, God. Thank you for this young man that's come forward tonight, Lord, to set you as his Lord and Savior, Lord. We just thank you for everything you do, Lord. We just ask you bless tomorrow night, Lord. May other souls be saved, Lord. We just give you all praise, honor, and glory for everything. Amen.